So you're considering purchasing a smart ring. Well, this is a brand new category for myself, and there's some very important facts that you might want to know before jumping and biting the bullet. And as you saw by the intro video, the one that I'm using here is an Ultrahuman one, which we'll get to a little bit later in the video. If you haven't yet, subscribe, give this video a massive like, and put a comment down below of any smart health tracking devices that you've used or you do use on a regular basis. So what do you need to know about smart rings? Well, the case is pretty much, I would say, how much of your health is important to you and how much information do you really want to have. Personally, before, I used to wear an Apple Watch. After the first generation, I completely stopped. I didn't like being distracted. I didn't like having the screen on there. And the days that I didn't wear it because I was wearing another watch, it would mess up with my data syncing and just wasn't working for me. And ever since then, I've always realized that the more data and information you have on something, it's when you can take actionable results. And without having that data, you can't do anything. So having something like this, the first huge advantage is the fact that it's a ring. It's inconspicuous. You can buy them in different colors. In this case, I've got a silver one. And it works. Just put it on your finger, it syncs with the app on the phone, and because it's so small, you don't notice it. And being that they're targeting these rings for sleep tracking, it's fantastic. But the major advantage with something like this and the purpose of the product is to do kind of three key areas. Number one, they have a long battery life. So with this one here, it's about 6 days, 24/7 of use. And you're meant to be sleeping with it and wearing it consistently to track the right information. So what I've been tracking is my sleep, so how much I've been getting, what time I've been going to bed, have I been having naps, and I've been competing with my friends, sending screenshots all the time to see whose sleeping pattern was worse. The other thing is it can track your temperature, well, skin temperature itself, as well as heart rate variability, which is basically reading your heart rate to determine if you're stressed or what's maybe a potential caffeine window that you should be drinking coffee in. So it does a bunch of cool things, which I found to be very interesting once you start diving deep into the data that it's collecting. The only thing that I found to be a little bit unusual is that you can use these to do activity tracking, but I believe that from the research that I've done, the sensors that sit on your finger can give you a rough reading, but it's not always 100% accurate to what's happening. And it doesn't necessarily really matter to me. It's more that as long as I can get a consistent data, that's the part that's going to actually allow me to make decisions and see if there's changes. But they're not really designed for, going for a run or going to the gym because how are you going to lift weights with a ring on your finger? So it's not there for that. You can go into the app and you can choose an activity and log it, and it's going to use some algorithms to determine how many calories you burned and so forth. But as a pure activity tracking device, I would say it's not aimed at that audience. It's more aimed at that general well-being over a period of time. The truth is, when you're about to purchase something like this, you're going to be weighing up options. Even I did myself. Do I buy a smartwatch? Do I buy a ring? Are there any other things that I can get? Do I get a Whoop band? What's the choices that are out there? The thing is, there are a lot of different companies and some of them charge subscription models. And in my case, this one is just a one flat fee. However, I did notice that they do update the app quite regularly and they're pushing into this market of health tracking. So if you're going to spend $350 or more on something like this, it's not the cheapest device out there, but it is pretty cool. Being that it's a ring, when you order the actual product, you get sent a little kit. If you haven't seen my unboxing, jump over on the channel and watch that as well, which you're supposed to wear for 1 or 2 days to determine, which finger ring size is going to be best. And I swap it between different fingers, and sometimes I put it on this hand or the other hand. However, I did lose like 1 or 2 kilos, I'm trying to lean out again. But that's the problem. With a watch, you can tighten it. With a band, you can. And in these cases here, you kind of set to the one that you got. There are an option that I saw in the app that you can pay for a one-time return to get a different size if you lose weight. So I thought that was pretty interesting and a nice offer from Ultrahuman, but something to consider. The other benefit is that it's pretty durable. I did knock it around and drop it a few times, and It's waterproof. So the ability for you to be wearing it 24/7, I don't seem to be having any problems at all. The only downside that I found was you have to get used to wearing a ring. Now, it hides its thickness pretty well, but when you put your hand down to push yourself up, or sometimes even some nights I just took it off while I was sleeping, I didn't even realize. So you have to be a type of person who can handle wearing a ring and get used to wearing that setup as well. So the interesting thing with these rings is that obviously they're tracking your data, and that data is syncing with the app, and the app also syncs on an iPhone to the health app, which gives its own algorithms to give you some information too. Now, if you don't wear the device, there are ways that it can give you false positives to potential information that you might want to have. So that's something to consider, where you really need to commit to wearing it on a regular basis to get the full benefit and data that you might need. Now, I've fully immersed myself in the Ultrahuman app. Like, I turned on the app notifications and I've allowed it to do everything. So let's deep dive a little bit further and see what it can do. So I've opened up the application, and you get this really interesting bento style of data that's presented to you. Now, some of this stuff is algorithmic, so it takes the data and information that is on the ring and that it's tracking to give you information around your day-to-day life. So for example, today, you can see that I've had a movement score of 50 with about 4,000 steps. And then it's telling me I'm stressed, or in my mild stress zone. It's telling me a caffeine window, meaning based upon the time that I slept and woke up, when would it be the best time for me to have coffee so I can still fall asleep normally. But see, these are some interesting things. So it's telling me here, for example, like I've got a potential fever. I'm not sick, but the last couple of days in Australia, it's been 40 degrees plus. So the skin temperature obviously is going to be a lot higher than normal, which is why I might be giving that false positive. And then it gives you some other information here around dynamic recovery, algorithmic stuff, sleep debt, how many hours I should be getting, based upon my sleep time, where in the world am I supposed to be, the circadian rhythm, so times when it's best to go out in the sun to change your sleeping cycle. And to be real honest with you, most of this data I have actually followed. So when to have coffee, when should I go out and have a walk, when should I move? And it's actually helped improve my sleeping pattern considerably. So it's not worthless. It is actually really good information. And the way that they work through a lot of this data is the fact that you can basically have these things called power plugs. And when you jump into power plugs, it shows you these different areas that you can plug into the app to present you with information related to that specific area. Now, obviously there's some spaces like, ovulation for women that I can't comment on. They even have a product that you can buy separately, which is called the M1 for glucose tracking. So I've seen people wear those devices out. I don't know if it was from Ultrahuman or not, but having that data and information synced to your phone could be of huge benefit as well to notify you if something's wrong and so forth. So the application is pretty interesting, and it gives you notifications throughout the day, like when you should wind down looking at a screen. It tells you, how much sun time you got based upon your activity of walking. And they've been updating the app pretty regularly. I've had pretty much maybe about 3 updates since the last 30 days. And I've liked it. So it's not a bad application. It's not a bad platform. And the thing is, with these devices, you need that dedication from the company to want to grow and expand in this space, so the longevity of your purchase is there. So is it a worthwhile category, and is it something that you should purchase? And here's my logic on it. I've immersed myself completely, turned on notifications, used it for the 30 days. And every single day and every single morning, I open up the app and I check my sleep. I look through the app to see what the past data has been for the last week. It's giving me information that I find valuable. And I don't feel like I'm going to take the ring off and stop wearing it. I feel like I'm going to continue wearing it every day. So as a category, as long as you get the right size and you get the right color to match obviously your style, I think it's a pretty worthwhile investment. If you guys have any questions or you want to know some more specifics around my experience, please leave a comment below. I do have an affiliate link if you're interested in purchasing. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel and I will see you guys soon. Peace be with you.